everyone. So I'm here to present my innovation about travel SIM detection using an AI agent. Last week there was a conference of my company in Bern, and there was a lot of panels about PC, 5G standalone, AI. And the most interesting panel was about travel SIM, where people have the most questions. Because when we talk about travel SIM with MNOs, they get very emotional. And the reason why is because there are a lot of uncertainty. So basically my solution here is to talk about travel SIM. So as you know, travel SIM adoption is accelerating rapidly and reshaping how roaming connectivity is being bought, sold, and consumed. For example, when I'm booking a flight, I can easily, or anyone can buy a travel SIM and start roaming the moment they land without their home operator ever knowing. So where is the marketplace? As I said, there is a lot of questions because most of MNOs, they don't have a clear view about what is the travel SIM behavior when we compare the normal versus the traditional roaming. They also don't know what are the providers, the sponsors, and more important, what is the revenue impact. Because I can say, because as data management service, I analyze a lot of data and there is an impact. And that's why the feeling is coming. So what I want with my innovation is to give the confidence to the operators, to the MNOs, what they need to do in order that they are not affected, and sometimes they can even monetize. So using AI, I can help the operator to understand if at this moment travel SIM is a threat or an opportunity for them, because sometimes it can be a threat, so they can do something and turn into the opportunity. So basically my solution is in order to give insights and actions to protect the revenue of any possible erosion with the travel SIM. So I will now do I have a video with a short time about my presentation, so I will play it. Hello Innovators, hello Lions. I'm happy to make a short time about my innovation, the AI data system. So let's start. The first thing we need to do is to enable some connectors to our chat. So I will enable a connector from Comfone, where I have the capability to detect travel SIM, and I also want to add another connector from public internet where you can get access to all travel SIM data package. Now that you have the connectors, we can start. So, as first use case, I'll make an analysis from travel SIM versus traditional in my network. So we use our MCP connector from Comfone to get this information, and here you will make an analysis from traditional versus travel SIM. What I like is making an insight from the report saying that 75% of the traffic is already travel SIM, and that the travel SIM provider free sponsored by them too accounts already for 87% of the users and only generates 70% of the revenue. He's asked if I'm interested about the data package from travel SIM provider free in my country, Portugal. So let's see. So now he's getting from public MCP. So he's giving me all the retail package from this travel SIM provider free in my country. But what I like is making also the wholesale price, so I know how much is the margin from travel SIM provider free in this data package. Let's go back. We can also make a question that is not related with travel SIM, is more related with revenue drop, in this case from non-EU countries in my network. So let's start. So here is querying Comfone again, and is making which countries have the biggest drop. In this case is mentioned that is country A with 82% of revenue drop. So he's suggesting that this might relate with travel SIM, so let's make that correlation. So I want to correlate, so he's using again Comfone MCP, and here what you can see that I was getting traffic from operators from country A, and there is a big decline, and at the same time there was an increase of travel SIM traffic in my network. So he's suggesting that the traffic from operators from country A is being replaced by travel SIM consumption, particularly with the growth of travel SIM provider 1. So is want to make some detailed analysis. So let's see what you can see. So here you can see the HPMNs that have country A, and I can see there was a drop of users, even though in total I was getting more data traffic in 2025 with the traffic from travel SIM providers, but as revenue I was getting less. He's suggesting that this is because of IoT difference, where I was charging operators from country A 1.29 gigs, and the HVMNs that are sponsoring Travel SIM Provider 1 is much lower, is 0.52. He's suggesting also some actions about how can I avoid this revenue erosion, so let's see. So as for action, he's telling me to engage country operators where I have roaming agreements, because maybe the retail roaming price they have is not competitive to my country, and that can be because my wholesale rate is not good with them. Another way is to see if the travel SIM providers have their own network. So instead of using the sponsor, they can launch directly with me. Another way is to negotiate the different IoT rates for travel SIM with HVMNs that are sponsoring that traffic that goes to my network. And finally, suggest that I should set up a monthly report to see if my actions have any impact. So let's do that. Here we can see that the report will run for May data and will be delivered on 1st of June. Thank you and have fun. I hope that you enjoy. So, as you could see in the video, this is not only about the chat, it's about the power to detect travel SIM and to have AI basically correlating with other traffic to understand what's going on. So in terms of the solution is cloud-based, so we don't need to be a Comfone customer to use this. It's beyond travel SIM. As you can see, travel SIM is a topic. We could have the commercial or NOC MCPs, but in this case, I'm focused on travel SIM. And we can use multiple systems. For example, we can use systems that have discount agreements, public information to know the package. We can use signaling data. So the more MCPs, the more LLM is capable to correlate the answers for a certain topic. And as I mentioned, this is an MCP, means that if you have your own chat, you can plug in with MCP from Travel SIM and get the answers. So in terms of competence, I'm guiding the product, but of course there's a software architect, a product designer, and a software developer. We have 25 years of experience at Comfone, and we have a lot of customers, what is good because we can test this with their data and give them the results. And of course, since we provide multiple service, we can also test with different type of data. We also have big data expertise and AI, and the development is in-house. In terms of technology, this what is very relevant. In this innovation, I want to show a new concept. Normally you say, now we have software as a service. I want to present what I call AI as a service. What this means, for example, was Matthew mentioning that they are thinking to use AI in their company, okay? And they want to use AI for travel SIM. So instead of using our chat, we can give our server for Comfone, and they can integrate with the AI service, and they can already give questions in their company about travel SIM because we have these capabilities. So they don't need to have all the capabilities because we can outsource with an MCP server, and basically they use their own LLM. So in terms of delivery, I can say that the first and the most important thing is to develop the algorithm to detect travel SIM. So we use multiple criteria like APNs, IMSI ranges, device type compatibility, and by combining all this with a lot of data, we are able to detect. Then we have a POC where we enable this MCP, okay, and we start validating with 2 customers. How we did? We choose customers that they are doing travel SIM, and because they knew their ranges, we could validate if the data that we are seeing are from travel SIM. Then next is to the productization, okay, so it's to go live, to announce, and then we make the release. And of course, the idea is that we don't only do for travel SIM, we also do for other cases from the industry that are relevant, but in this case is about travel SIM. Since I have 2 minutes, and I reserved these 2 minutes for this, when I was coming from Zurich to Dublin, and then I took a coach for Limerick, I was sitting with the Swiss lady, okay? And then we start chatting, and because she's basically coming to Dublin for the first time, and I knew Dublin, so I give some tips. And then when we land, out of curiosity, I don't know if you do that, but since I'm roaming, I ask which Swiss operator she's using, right? And she said the Swiss operator, but then she said, I'm not using this operator to roam in Ireland. I'm using Arlo. I'm using a travel SIM. And then I say, but wait, I know that Swiss operator has good package or some package with Ireland. And she explained that 6 months ago, she was doing a big trip in South America, and she want to go to 8 countries. And from the package, they just have 5 in this Swiss package from the Swiss operator. And Swiss are very organized, you know, they organize everything. Then she called the Swiss operator, and they say, look, I want to travel for these countries, and you are missing 3. Can you include these countries in my roaming package, or can you upgrade to a roaming package, because I want to have internet when I'm traveling there? And then the lady said, I know is what it is, okay? So she found a solution by buying a travel SIM, in this case from Arlo, that have all the countries from South America, right? And now when she comes to Ireland, right, instead of using their own network, she's using Arlo because it worked. And then I saw she switching off the home network, in this case in the phone, and turn Arlo and say, look, it's working. So what I want to say is that this Swiss operator, if they have this type of tools, because right now they don't know that this happened, because the Swiss operator thinks, okay, I lose traffic where my data packages are not good. But no, they are losing also package where they have, because people have this idea, it works. And then for this Swiss operator, it's very hard to recover this person as a customer, because she sees that with Arlo it works. So this solution is to help operators to face travel SIM, because it's a reality, I could see next to me, and by giving what is going on, some actions, so they are prepared. Because in the end, travel SIM relies on your network, on being 5G ready, etc. So you are the ones that have everything, okay?